Today we're going to look at soil texture. In your lecture, I define this different size classes of grains of soil, whether they're clay, silt, or sand based on the size. And then I have two different keys to IDing sand, silt, and clay based on texture in the field. They both have a slightly different technique. The top one here is using a key where you take choices, and this is just a table of all the different qualities each one of those categories from the soil triangle will have. So we can go through these with each of our samples. So something I didn't show you on the last one is recording my soil profile and all the data that goes with it. These samples are all dry. You would usually have some wetter samples. So I've added a little bit of water to these to see if it'll be enough. Yeah. So the first thing you need to do is get it wet enough, because like if I take this soil, it won't make a ball because it's too dry. So then I take a little bit of wetness, and look, now I can make a bowl as if it was plasticine or clay. And as I follow my key down, it says, can I squeeze that ball? So like, and you're gently squeezing it to see if it remains in a ball or not. Well, so remain in a ball when squeezed. Sort of. Kind of. Can I make a ribbon out of it though? So if it doesn't remain in a ball, it's sand, and if you can sort of make a ribbon, then you can move on to what kind of loam you have. So making a ribbon is taking your ball and pushing it up between your fingers. Yeah. It's not really making a ribbon. I would say this is loamy sand. Let's see if maybe perhaps if we add a little bit more water to our organic layer here, if it will make something a little bit different than our BF layer. Just adding a little bit of dry, a little too wet. So now I've got that ball as I did before. I'm going to gently squeeze it. And again, it's sort of keeping its position, but not quite. So not sand. Can we add, so it's the same. So that means this isn't our LFH layer, this is an AH layer. There is a lot of sand in this. This is not organic matter. Because there is some organic matter, but if it was more organic matter than mineral matter, then we'd be able to make a ribbon in a more, like that's still very gritty, like sand. Sand has It does have a little bit of a flowery feel. That's something that you see with silt. I'll have to, in another video, I'll have an organic sample and maybe even a clay sample. And I can show you what a ribbon looks like when you get a ribbon. So one of the things that I talked about in the other class is trying to decide if it's sand, silt, or clay. The old school, really simple way is if it feels smooth between your fingers, you don't have sand, you have silt or clay. And if it feels smooth on your tongue, you've got clay. If it feels smooth in your hand and gritty on your tongue, you've got silt. Because clay particles are so small that even your tongue can't feel that grittiness. So with this distinction of being able to make a ball and squeeze a ball but not being able to make a ribbon, both my AH layer and my BF layer are sandy loam. No, loamy sand. That matters. Loamy sand and sandy loam are slightly different things. And then I can go down. Loamy sand means that I have approximately 70 to 85% sand and only 10 to 15% silt or clay. And sandy loam, grainy with a moderate amount of floury material. That feels about right. Weak cast allows careful handling. Yeah, it happened. Barely formed a ribbon. So you could see how it started, but then it would just flake off into these flat pieces. Yeah. So that's texture. Maybe I'll do one more down here. See if this one's more sandy. Oh, I need a little bit of dry in with that. Oh, this one feels sandier, which would make sense. It's further down, so there'd be less hummus. And it's not making a ribbon at all. That also means that if this is loamy and this isn't, that this might be a BHF layer and this might be a BF layer. Things to think about. Loamy sand, sandy loam. I think they're both loamy sand, but slightly different. Oh man, I was trying to avoid that. This gray layer feels almost clayey or silty. It's stickier. I was not expecting that. And the ball stays much better. We might get a ribbon out of this one. I might pick up a little bit more. Oh, look at that! Forming a ribbon, guys. Can you see that? That's a pretty long, like that's over an inch, that ribbon, before it broke off there. So let's go down through the key. And I have, does the soil form a ribbon? Does the soil make a weak ribbon less than 2.5 centimeters long before breaking? No, it was about 2.5. Does the soil make a medium, 2.5 to 5 centimeters? I think that might be yes. Does the soil make a strong, more than 5? No. Excessively wet, a small pinch of soil in a palm and rub with the forefinger. So I want a really wet bit. So I've got a very wet amount that I'm rubbing. It's very silky actually, with a little bit of grit. Does the soil feel very gritty? Does the soil feel very smooth? Neither grittiness or smoothness predominates. That's a hard one. It does feel kind of gritty. I think it might be a sandy clay loam. So this will be interesting to do our hydrometer on. So this will be interesting to use the hydrometer or the Imhoff comb and see what percentages we get of sand, silt, and clay. Frequently people will think they have clay and they actually have silt because they both feel so smooth to the fingers. This does have a grittiness to it though. It just has a silkiness as well. Cool. Okay, go have some fun playing in dirt.